Happy Boxing Day, everybody. I am doing my first Facebook Live video because last year I got this amazing thing called an Instant Pot. And when I get something amazing, I want to share it with everybody. I'm kind of like Oprah. It's like, you get an Instant Pot, and you get an Instant Pot, and everybody gets an Instant Pot. So I decided to get my mom and dad and my in-laws an Instant Pot for Christmas. And when they opened the box, they were a little hesitant. They were kind of terrified, actually. They were like, oh no, more technology we have to learn. And so I said that I would make them an instructional video. And this morning when I was on Facebook, I noticed that a lot of people were looking for recipes and instructions. So feel free to follow along. If you've got some comments, I have my wonderful daughter filming here and she can forward your questions to me, and I'm just gonna wing it and see what I can do. So the first thing I want to point out on your pot is you have different settings. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to use the saute setting. So you're going to hit saute, and then on my pot I hit adjust to get it to high. And then we're going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pot. Grapeseed oil or anything pretty much other than olive oil is good. You want something that has a high burn temperature that won't smoke. So I put a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pot. Check this out. We're going to smush it all around the bottom and let it heat up. And so that's going to allow us to saute our food in there. So next I've pulled a few pork chops out of the freezer. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, this is just a pork rub, just going to smush it on both sides just so it gets a little bit of flavor in there. Kind of rub it in and smush it around and get these guys all flavored up. And so this one is, I think it's called a steak and chop rub, whatever you want to put on here, whatever you like. It's got some salt and pepper and some seasoning. And then once we know our oil is hot, we're going to come on over here with our pork chops. And what we're going to do is we're just going to brown them in the pot. I probably should have heated it up a little faster. I think it's, see if it's ready to go. I'm going to drop them in here. And what we want is they're actually going to stick to the bottom a little bit. And that's okay, that's what we want, because what's going to happen is all the juicy flavor and goodness is also going to get stuck into the bottom. So I'm going to let those brown on both sides for about a minute or two. And we're going to let all the grit and gunky stuff get in there. And in the meantime, I'm going to take away this dirty plate. In the meantime, what I've done is I've chopped some onions and some garlic. I've cut up some apples, and we've got some potatoes and carrots here. So I'm just going to go and have a look at my pork chops and see if they're browning up yet. And they are already starting to brown. So I'm going to flip them over. What we just want to do is get a nice caramelized brown. Actually, they're not as brown as they could be yet. So I'm going to, normally what I would do is turn the pot on another minute or two before you start so that your oil's hot. It's starting to sizzle in there now though. So I'm just going to let that do its thing. And maybe what we'll do for a second here is we will talk about, what are we going to talk about, Tegan? How was your Christmas? Did you get good stuff for Christmas?
Yes.
Actually, what we were just talking about is how Grandma Bev seems like she's afraid of technology, but we're actually surprised at how good she is with technology. And Donna texts too. So both of them have a bit of technology happening. So this is still on saute mode on high. And normally it goes a little faster than this. I didn't anticipate the lag time here, but that's okay. Here we go. These are starting to brown. And then what I'm just going to flip these over one more time. Really what you want to do though is you want to pop it in when it's really sizzling hot, and then you get that nice brown caramel color and flavor. So these ones are starting to get a nice brown caramelization on them. So I'm going to flip them over to the other side for like 30 seconds. And then I'm going to pop them out of the pot, and we're going to throw our onions and our garlic and our apples in there. And so, okay, so these babies are nice and warm on both sides. They got a little stuck to the bottom, and that's what we want, is a little bit of juice and flavor at the bottom of the pot. And I'm going to use my pinchers, see if I can pull them out. There we go. Probably could have worn different attire for this. So now what I'm going to do is, again, I've got some onions, some garlic, and some apples. I'm going to just pop those onions in and let them just start to brown up first. and smush them all around in the juice from the pork chop. You can have a look, they're all going to smush up and get nice and brown and caramelized in there. And then I'm going to drop these apples in as well. Apples are going to give it a little bit of sweetness and some sort of built-in applesauce. And I'm just going to let those caramelize up and brown. Then while that's cooking, I'm going to show you what I do over here. So your Instant Pot comes with this little rack that you can put vegetables on. But what I find is all the vegetables kind of fall over the edge. So I take one of these old vegetable steamers that I just got at the dollar store for a couple of bucks, and I pop it on top of the rack. And then because my kids don't like sauce with their vegetables, and they don't like any pork chop juice touching their vegetables, because I have a little child who thinks that pigs are her friends and she won't eat pork. So what I do is I get the veggies up over top of the meat, and they still cook, and they get the flavor, but they don't actually touch the juice, and then the kids will eat them. So I put it in the basket, and then you can actually just drop it in, and I'll show you how we're going to do that in a minute, and that lets your vegetables cook at the same time as your meat is cooking. So over here, my onions are getting nice and brown and caramelized, and they're looking really good. Probably I would cook those for a couple more minutes, but because we're doing our little Facebook Live thing, and I know what our attention spans are like here in this digital age, I'm going to just scoop these things onto a plate for a minute here and get everything out. And then I'll show you what we're going to do. So probably you actually want to cook these a little bit till they're just a little bit more translucent. And then what we do is just take your favorite white wine, red wine if you want, non-alcoholic wine, some apple juice if you don't drink, and if you want to come over here, T, what we're going to do is we're just going to pour it into the pan. See all these brown grits of flavor here? You pour this in and deglaze the pan. Just stir it all around. Normally we'd have more flavor because we would have cooked those onions in there longer and we'd have some beautiful rich color, but basically we're just going to deglaze the pan. And then I'm going to put my pork chops right back in the bottom of the pan into that delicious wine broth and all the flavor from the garlic and the onions. And then I'm going to drop my apples and my onions on top of that. Load that baby up with lots of flavor. And then normally you would use chicken broth, but I don't have any chicken broth, so it's beef broth today. But basically you want to have somewhere between a half a cup and a cup of liquid in there to allow that pressure to work and to make your gravy later. Don't worry, that was 5-second rule throwing those apples in. They're going to get sterilized. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my vegetables that I put together, sweet potatoes, carrots, whatever you like to use. I'm going to pop them right in top. Now, if you like your veggies a little more well done, you can add them halfway through the process, or not so well done. You can add them later, but we like our potatoes nice and mushy. So I'm going to stick that in there. Now the lid is the hardest part of the thing. I just kind of fart around with it until it falls into the perfect spot. You'll know because it'll make a little magic noise. There, that magic noise is your lid slipping on. Then what you want to do is you want to set your pressure valve. This is to vent and this is closed. So we want to have our pressure valve facing away from us to closed, and our little red pressure ball is going to be down, which means it has not come to pressure yet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click off, so it turns off of saute. We're going to go manual pressure, and because it's pork chops, we literally only want 1 minute of time. So it's going to come to pressure it's going to wait and come to pressure. It's going to cook for a minute, and then we're going to do what we call a natural release. So a natural release means we leave this valve turned this way, and when the pressure naturally comes down, your lid will open. If we were doing what we call a quick release, you would click this valve towards you and release the pressure. But with pork chops, we want 1 minute and we want natural release. So you keep your vent pointing that way. So now we're going to move over here because I love my Instant Pot so much, I asked for another one. And now I have a mini Instant Pot. So I'm going to just show you how we're going to make a little gravy. So this has been, it did its minute of cooking, and it's been sitting here about 50 minutes since it cooked. The timer's counting down. It's naturally released, and how I know that it's released is the little ball has dropped down. So when there's still pressure, the ball is up and the ball has dropped down. And when it's down, it makes a special noise and we can open it. And ta-da! There's our meal. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you how to make a nice gravy. And we're going to take everything out of our little pot here. And this one, I didn't have a steamer rack, so I just sort of put it on the rack. So basically, I'm going to take everything out of the pot using a slotted spoon. And I'm going to leave the veggies separate because, again, I have children that don't like vegetables that touch anything, even though they're practically adults. Anyways, and I'm going to put my pork chop and my apples and my onion and pull them out with a little slotted spoon. Then what we have left in here is some beautiful broth that we can make a gravy with. So what I've done is I've just taken about a tablespoon of flour, mixed it with some cool water, and I'm going to change the function again. I'm going to turn it to off, and then I'm going to go to saute. And so now saute means the pan is going to get hot and it's going to work just like a saucepan. So now I'm going to take my flour and water and I'm just going to pour it. You see the gravy and the bits of good stuff in there. I'm going to pour a little bit of flour and water in there to thicken it. And I'm just going to stir it until it thickens, which should be pretty quick here. And then ta-da, we've got pork chops, apples, onions, we've got some root vegetables, and we've got a gravy to pour on top. So there's something you can make today with your Instant Pot. Thanks for joining me.